Welcome back to Behind the Vocals. This week we are joined by the one and only Jackson Greene of As Hell Retreats. It's an amazing episode. We reminisce, we catch up, we learn about all the things with As Hell Retreats, lyrics, vocals, songwriting, all the good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, we are joined by the one and only Mr. Jackson Greene of As Hell Retreats. Sir, how's it going? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm kicking it, hanging out. I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Dude, appreciate you coming on. I'm stoked to chat with you. We were talking before I started recording. Dude, it's probably been 10 years maybe?
Minimum, for sure.
It's been a while. It's been a long while. So I'm super stoked to chat with you. Was always a big fan of Hell Retreats. Loved what you guys did. From the energy on stage to the lyrics to everything. You guys crushed it, and I was always a big fan of what you guys brought to the table. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time.
I can't wait to dive in with you and just see what you got in store for me.
All right. Well, what I like to do to start off is just kind of give you the floor, let you introduce yourself, and tell everybody a little bit about yourself for those that may not be as initiated or know much about you.
Cool. So for those who don't know me, my name is Jackson. I was a vocalist for As Hell Retreats. Literally, that's it. Like that, I haven't done anything else after the fact. It was a great time back in the early days of mid 2000s up until about early 2010s. And right now, just current lifestyle is I'm a father to a 10-year-old, happily married, and just kicking it right now, still in the Nashville area, more so north side of Nashville in the suburbs.
Nice, living the life.
Trying, yeah, just taking it one day at a time.
So I have to bring it up. Whenever you started, there wasn't a lot of there was country artists, right? Like tons of country artists, obviously in Nashville. But have you seen how many people have moved to Nashville in the metal scene and metalcore and stuff lately? Like it's nuts.
It is nuts. It's funny, like when we broke up, like in 2012, it was like this fascinating period of like streaming was becoming a thing, and then like all of a sudden, a lot of our friends that we toured with were coming to move into Nashville, and I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And it was always great to like catch up with those who were like, living here now, and always just, hanging out when we could.
Yeah, it's crazy. I bumped into Brandon from Atreyu the other day, and I was like, he's like, I've been living here like 5 years. I'm like, it's crazy. It's everybody's here. Cody from Wage War somewhere over there.
That is crazy. I mean, it's like even like, I feel like more so like metal, like definitely, but like even like indie rock scenes and stuff like that. Like it's just wild to see how many people are just coming here. I mean, it's still Music City for a reason.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. I love it. The Fallujah guys are there. They all moved from California. There's a lot of California guys that are moving to Tennessee, I've noticed.
Man, that is crazy. But, yeah, I've like lost track too. But yeah, it is wild to see how much the city has grown.
Yeah, I wish it was like that when we were really active in getting it.
Right? One would hope, but hey,
yeah.
That's
we had
all right.
You guys in Plea, and yeah, that was pretty much like the main signed bands doing stuff. Mostly, wasn't it? Or I might be missing people.
Back then, like signed bands, sure, but there was
Nashville had a good scene. I wasn't saying like the scene's not bad. I just meant like,
yeah,
sign like the touring. Hey, we're on a label doing things.
Totally, yeah, yes. I think that is totally like I would say us, Plea. Gosh, I'm trying to think if there's any other.
Did Alcina? Were they signed?
They were signed for a little bit.
Okay.
So like a indie label, like around like the Southeast area for a little bit.
I remember Ancients was signed to somebody for a little bit too.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't remember for the life of me, but I feel like there was definitely like a lot of like small labels that signed like quite a few folks in the Nashville area. But for the most part, like the scene as a whole was like extremely vibrant back then.
Oh yeah, it was. Man, you just go through the lineup of like the local bands back then. Like the shows were stacked. It was good times. Mm-hmm. The Rocketown Fest, where it was just from the start of the day till late at night, it was just awesome bands everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Rocketown Fest. Travis Fest is like hand in hand with
legendary.
That. Yeah, and it was all around just great people that still like to this day, like I'll still connect with and hang out with every now and then too, even if I've been out of the music scene for like 10 plus years myself.
All right. Well, so you mentioned mid 2000s. So how long have you been doing vocals? When did you start?
When did I start? Good question. I think for me, like call it backup vocals if you want. In 2005, I was like young. I was middle school, just like, hey, I'm into this type of stuff. I'll do whatever in a band. But I really didn't start becoming a vocalist until about 2007. I think the story behind that is I was just playing bass in SL retreats, and then we had like 3 of our members quit at the same time, which like totally fine with. Like we're all still like, great friends together, and it's just we were young and we
Were
were
you
like,
all in high school at that point, or?
yeah, we were in high school. I think it was like 2007. I was probably like a freshman in high school. But I remember Trent, our drummer, and I, we were just like sitting by ourselves, like, well, shit, what do we do? And we were like, well, I guess I'll be a vocalist and just go from there. And so I would say 2007 is when it really started.
Nice. Okay. And you kind of talked about the member changes. I would not be doing a good job if I didn't bring up that some of your members have just, dude, they're crushing it. They have, Tyler is out there, Gideon is doing big things. And then Blake has been a journeyman. He has been all over. Like
Blake has been all over. It's funny. I just ran into him at the Kill Switch Engage KublaCon show here in Nashville. It's probably the last time I saw him. And so it was just so funny how we just like ran into each other and we just like shoot the shit the entire time. And yeah, the fact he's with Chiodos, I mean, like confidently just not surprised. He is like truly just like a prodigy. He's one of the best. Tyler is also just, I love him to death. And just watching everything that he's doing with Gideon, with like, Jake and Dan and Caleb and all them. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Blake, I feel like Blake just keeps leveling up. Like every time it'd be like announcement, oh, I'm in this band now. And I'm just like, dude, he is crushing it. And I met him, the first time I met him was with you guys, when I saw you guys. And then he did like fill-in or something for Adelaide at one point. He was vocals for a little bit. Yep. And I remember being like, wow, he's actually pretty decent at vocals too. It's like, okay. And then I've just seen him play all these different instruments over the years. I'm like, this dude's just like jack of all trades. Like, okay, Blake.
Yeah, he was everywhere. He did a couple vocal tracks on our Revival record, to our first record that we did. And so, yeah, it was just always like anytime a band needed a vocalist, he'd be like, yeah, I'm also available to do that.
Hey, it worked for him though. Mm-hmm. Now, Revival, was that the first signed record?
Yeah, it was. So we had lots of demos and EPs, self, released and stuff. But Revival was our first one that we did on Strike First Records, which was like the sub label of Face Down.
Nice. All right, dude. I know we're gonna derail a lot, so I apologize, but dude, it's
dude, don't need to apologize.
The nostalgia gets real quick, man. Trying to live the previous days. All right. So bass is, you play bass. Do you play guitar? Do you play drums? Do you play any other instruments, or was that it?
I do play like guitar, drums, bass, piano. Started piano young, thanks to my parents, just like instilling music in me. They definitely would not be here without them. They were really like our band parents too, which was like, just saying that a lot is really precious. Like we would have band practice at our place and they would just always find a way to like make sure we were doing music in some form or fashion. But they started me early, and then I really probably will say like drums is probably the first time I really fell in love with an instrument.
Okay.
I started like when I was 12. And then from there played guitar, and then honestly never played bass until SL Retreats needed a bass player. And I was like, sure. And I literally just bought like a shitty PV amp and like an Ibanez bass like at Sam Ash in Madison, and then like went to band practice the next day.
But if you can play guitar, you can play bass. Like it's
right. It wasn't too bad, but it was definitely one of those things where I'm the type of person who likes to like know what I'm playing and like make sure I'm doing it well based on the bass being like such an important instrument, obviously. But yeah, if you know how to play guitar, you do know how to play bass to a degree.
But shout out to the parents. Piano at a young age, that's awesome. That's super valuable. That helps. That translates to a lot of things. It definitely helps out a ton.
Hope so. Yeah, I'm very thankful for them for just, again, instilling music in me so early and just like introducing me to, power of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you still play drums or dabble with that at all? I think I see some in the background a little bit.
Right here, yeah. This is my electric kit that I like to play every now and then. Like it's one of those things where when you have a family and you live in the in the suburbs, you can't be too loud anymore. Yeah. But it's still something I like to jam daily as much as I can.
Nice, very nice. So you started way back when on vocals. How did you learn how to do vocals? Because back then there is not the wealth of knowledge that we have now, which is kind of why we're doing this. Because I'm a big fan of like the behind the scenes. Like I would always nerd out on band documentaries, DVDs, and stuff like that. I always love seeing the things that you don't see, normally. And hearing the how did we write this album, or how did we do this, or so that's why I started this. So how did you learn vocals when we were in the wild wild west of there was really nothing other than Zenna screaming?
I mean, even before Zenna screaming, it was like I think for me, I think about what I was growing up with back in the day, and like when 05, 07 period was happening, it was a lot of like the metalcore bands, and then like us being a Christian metalcore band back then, it was like Lay Dying, the Haste Days, like Under Oaths, all that stuff. That was like, I was like, sure, I can try this. And I remember just like trying it, and it was like, okay, this seems pretty cool, I guess. But it never really came from like a point of like, I want to be a vocalist. It was just like, wanted to see how it felt, I guess. And then like the rest is history now. But it just became very, clear to me when the moment occurred that I needed to be a vocalist. That's definitely when things started shifting, and like how to learn and what did it mean to do highs and lows and all that stuff. But to your point, like we didn't have anything but Zenna screaming for like a little bit. But so it was a lot of hard lessons. Yes. For sure. It is quite impressive to see the type of material, like you said, that is available today, that I'm like, dude, what in the world? I love it. It's awesome. But it was like, it's just insane to think about back then as like a 13, 14-year-old who literally MySpace was just booming and like all that stuff.
Dude, the MySpace days. And it was, it's crazy. Like, I don't know how many times like you would hear, but like touring band stuff would come through and we play, and like you would hear horror stories of people like, yeah, I blew my voice out and I spit blood, and it's like, oh, that sounds terrible. Like, but you didn't know. Nobody knew any better. It was just kind of like, well, this works for me. I'm making it right now. I don't really know how to explain what I'm doing, but I'm doing this.
Right. I think that's like the beauty of like what I loved about the era that like we were in. Like, it's something that I truly think was just like, that's DIY. Like, you truly did it yourself. It was like what the passion of like metal and hardcore continues to be to this day, which is like truly do it yourself, do it by community, see what you learn the hard way, and just more so having fun with it all with the people that you really enjoy being with.
Absolutely, man. It was good times. It was a lot of good times, but it was wild. There was a lot of not being able to talk, sore throats. Wait, maybe I should not do that again because that really hurt.
Right, especially when we started like touring full time. That was definitely when I learned hard how to like, oh shit, I need to know how to do this correctly, or I'm not going to be able to finish this tour. Because it was always like weekend warrior stuff and all that. And then once we started touring, probably like my junior year of high school, like going into senior year, that summer we did our first tour. And I was just like, holy shit, I need to learn how to drink hot tea. I need to learn how to add honey to it and all this stuff. And then learn to just not talk to people. And back then I was a chatty Cathy. I like to hang out. I like to have fun. I wasn't like a super introvert person like I am today, really. But back then I was just like, man, I can't talk to anybody. Shit. Like, I gotta just like lay low. And then like, that was just how I learned.
Yeah. It's, man, it is crazy to think about though. Like, kids nowadays have so much at their disposal. And, I remember when I was learning, I was just like, so I just yell and just hope that it works. Like, I didn't know. So I was like just trying different things. And Zenna screaming, I watched it. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. And then I remember being at practice and just like, all right, well, I'm going to do I always reference the pencil, because I think the pencil was like the first thing that I like, for some reason in practice, I was like, I'm going to try what she was talking about, like going over the pencil, like projecting. And I remember trying that, and I was like, oh, like, aha, like the light bulb went off. I was like, okay, I think I got what she's saying now. Like, and then stuff started making sense, the reservoirs and breath support and, all the things. And I was like, oh, I can talk afterwards. I'm fine. Like,
right. Like when you learn to not do it from like your throat and actually do it from like your core, it's like, the body is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Because everyone's like, how are you talking? I'm like, diaphragm. I'm using the diaphragm. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I have no answer for you right now. I don't know the scientific how things are working.
Right. I think one of the things, I mean, it's even funny too bringing up because whenever we did our last show in 22, the guys will tell you like my voice became shit again, where I was like, dude, I can't talk. Even like my wife is like, it's back again. And I was just like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's even if after all the learnings and all the techniques and stuff, I just was like, I reverted back to my old ways of just trying to do it from here again. I was like, whatever.
How was it trying to do vocals after that long layoff?
It was rough. It was really rough because it was just one of those things. Like I didn't have a place to practice. And so I was like, my only time to do it is like literally when we can get together as a band. And I just didn't have the proper equipment to really test it out. But it's one of those things too, where it got in the way of like, we were this close to not releasing our like single that came out in 22 when we were like, we're coming back. Because I just kept blowing my vocals out in the studio. Like I felt bad for Cody Stewart, like shout out to him and all the patience he gave us when he was recording our single. I was just like, I know I'm probably annoying the shit out of him for not being able to nail it down because my voice just like kept going out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go home. I'll come back next week.
Dude, it like you said, it's not that you don't know how to do it. It's like, it's kind of like you revert back. Like you just go back to like where you started. Because whenever I come back after a layoff, the same thing. I was like, oh, I sound okay. And then next thing you know, I was like, oh, I'm already losing it. Like I could tell like tone, everything was falling off. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's getting weaker and weaker. Like, yeah, I'm not doing stuff right.
Yeah. But hey, that's hard. Some people have to learn the hard way. That's probably me.
So early mistakes, pushing too hard. What were some early mistakes you made?
Definitely pushing too hard, only using the throat. And then really like not drinking hot tea and honey. Like I know that's like the typical generic like thing to like always help with the vocal cords, but like just growing up, I was never a tea drinker in my life. I was just like soda, maybe water, like just destroy my body with all sorts of like drinks that are not actually good for me. And then I realized I was like going back to like my mom, I was like she's a singer all her life too, and so she like really helped me like just like use this tea, use this honey, and I was like okay, and then I was like holy cow, this is great. So early lessons is just not just like knowing how to take care of after it, but then getting it ready beforehand too. That's definitely like the big thing that still like to this day I still can't even tell you like what do you do to prepare beforehand. Like you can do the hums, you can do all that stuff, but I'm like early lesson, like don't just like go straight to the stage and like try to let it out for the first time in a while, because that is definitely when it blows out in the first like couple songs.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about Andy earlier. He come on and he cracked me up. He was just like, yeah, so part of this, like I have nothing. I just got up there and I yelled.
Yeah, like Andy and I talked about that on our last like tour together, and I was just like, son of a bitch. Like he literally could just like go up there and do it. And I was like, this is hilarious. Even when they like came back and played last, like he was already losing his voice on that stage, and I was like, that's what happens when you just go cold turkey, I guess, and go on stage or something. But yeah, I don't know how people do it. Like there's some people who I know can do it, and just I'm like, dude, how? This is crazy.
Yeah, some of them are like, no, I need no warm up. I just pretty much go. Which I get if you're doing a tour and you're like a week, 2 weeks in, you know, it kind of becomes like you're warmed up, you're going, you know, you're in the groove of it. And I get the not warming up then, like that makes sense. They're kind of like you're just in like a flow state, right? But whenever you haven't done it as much, and then you can just go and like just throw down, I'm like, you're a machine. Like I don't understand how you're able just to flip the switch and you're good.
It's one of those things that I think just depends, like, I don't know, environment, obviously, like if it's too hot, it's too hot as well. But it's one of those things where when you know your body, and like everybody's different.
Yeah.
Like really is like, it's great to learn all these techniques. And I think that's what's good about it is like learn from everybody, continue to learn from everybody, and like don't just stick with one just because you saw it and like you think it works for you. It's like keep expanding it, even if it's like what you think isn't going to add value right now. could absolutely add it later on.
100%. 100%. Everybody is very different, and it's cool to see. And that's one of the things I love about this. And I do take tips and tricks from everybody, and I'm like, I want to see how that does. One of them is like the vocal mist, like just getting like a sinus thing and just getting the steam. I was told about that by a couple people. I was like, I'm gonna see what it does, and then I used it. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's something to add to like things I can use as like tools to help. I was like, that's really cool. That I love that stuff. I think it's really, really neat.
It's funny, like as you say that, I'm like now getting triggered from doing that myself back on the road, because it's like, oh yeah, I did do that at one point because I screwed up my vocal cord so bad, like during like one of our first couple tours. Yeah, like that stuff does work. It's a miracle.
It's super awesome. It's I did it before we went and recorded our stuff, and I remember TJ come in and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm trying this out." And he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Here, you wanna take a little like a sniff of it, because it was just the mist or whatever." And he did it too. He was like, "Okay, cool." So like, and then like doing it after it helps soothe too. Just getting that moisture on the vocal cords and everything. It's really cool though. I love hearing, like you said, everyone's different, and how Andy could go on tour for months at a time and just do nothing but yell and be okay. And then some people, have like a full regiment of things they do beforehand. Like it's really cool to hear what works for everybody.
I think that's like, that's just like the beauty of music.
Yeah.
Like just to kind of get like a little deep there, I guess. But it's like, when it's different for everybody, it's like, this is not at all a competition.
Yeah.
Like this is just more of like, hey, what is your art? What do you want to say? What do you want to do with it? And then just have fun with it. Like, doesn't matter if people enjoy it or not. In my opinion, it's just like, as long as you're having fun with it and it feels right to you, like keep doing it.
So before we go to the next question, I have to ask is Hell Retreats, what bands were you guys inspired by? And like, who did you kind of, not necessarily model, I don't think that's the right word, but like, where did you pull from when you guys were becoming a band, and like, as far as like your stage presence, how you wrote, like all that, your sound?
Yeah.
Because I heard Haste Today and stuff earlier, so I feel like some of those might be it, but I'm really curious to see like who you say.
Early days, it's funny because like we had so many guitar player changes over the years until we got like Blake and Tyler, and then like it was basically like Tyler like wrapping us up. Over the years, like it would definitely stem from like As Lay Dying at times. Like Black Dahlia Murder goes up there too with us in terms of like how that was like really influential and like who we listened to on the regular. Misery Signals was a big one for us. I think more so me lyrically for Misery Signals, but then we were always just like in trance with like every album they came out with. Like probably still still my favorite all-time metalcore band.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would say, towards the later half of the career, it was definitely Meshuggah. And we were starting to really get into just that heavier style, like Jen, as like that was like being called back then and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, it's funny that you say that, because it's like for me, like what's funny, like I like grew up on metal and hardcore, but it's like I so did not listen to it a whole lot growing up at the same time. Like I think maybe for me, like favorite band ever is Thrice.
Okay.
So I think maybe like going back to like what inspired me to like go into vocals as well as like Dustin, in the way he just would randomly do it in like the middle of singing. I'm like, what in the world? But it's like not metal by any means. And so, but it was Illusion of Safety and stuff back then, and Identity Crisis. But I think for us, it was definitely like those like early Christian metalcore days. And then later on, we were like really influenced by like the thrashy metal stuff, like Black Dahlia. And then later on, just teeing it off with like, that Meshuggah era with a little bit of that like metalcoreness that like will always stick around with us.
Oh yeah. Nice. Okay. Love it. So you kind of, we've kind of already talked about it a little bit, but when was your aha moment when you were learning to do vocals? When you were just kind of like, okay, I think I got a grasp. Like I know what I'm doing without like hurting myself or being able to like not talk for a week or whatever.
Yeah. I think technicality, it was definitely like, drink all the hot tea and honey and stuff. I think though, tonally, I think when it is like when you start hitting the road and you really start doing it every day.
Yeah.
That definitely was like an aha moment of like, oh, this is not going to last.
Yeah.
So like if you go back to Revival, all the highs and lows, like different sounds of mids, and also younger. But then like that came out in 2010, I think, or no, yeah, 2010. And then we released Volition in 2011, and it's a totally different sound. And I think I credit to touring, because that was a moment where like trying to do all the highs and lows for me, it could work for me if I actually try to give a shit on the technique of it all. But I was like, what's going to work every day that's not going to kill me?
Yeah.
And it was just that, like, pick that single tone. Like, I mean, the record and Volition definitely has like the highs and lows to it still. But I definitely anchored a lot of influence from Darkest Hour in Misery Signals that just kept that like one tone going. It never changed. It just was like that. And I was like, okay, I think that's probably what I should do. And then that's what I did.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, tour brings out a lot. It will show you a lot, because it's vastly different than just going and playing like you said, a Weekend Warrior thing, or like a one-off show where you're like, oh, I'm fine. But when you're doing it, 30, 40, an hour a night, whatever, each night of the week, and having maybe one day off, maybe 2 days a week, maybe if you're lucky.
Yeah.
That's a lot of strain on your voice.
Maybe you play 2 shows during one day at Cornerstone back in the day, like we did back in the day. And it was just like, yeah, you learn quick on what's going to work and what's not, real fast in those moments.
And things are finicky as a vocalist, because you don't have the luxury of being able to restring your vocals, or anything like that. You wake up one day and all of a sudden, hey, I'm hoarse, or I have sinuses, or I'm sick, or whatever. Weather, touring, different altitudes, and all that stuff can wreak havoc. So it's definitely a wild experience for sure.
It is. It'd be funny too that like I'll have those like shit days where I'm like, dude, I literally can't do it. I'm gonna put myself on notice here for a second. So if like any of the crews listening, let me know if I'm lying. But it's like, I don't think we ever like not played a show because of it, and that's something that I'm like grateful for, because like that's where Tyler could do a lot of the vocals, or like Blake could do a lot of the vocals, or somebody can in the band. I'm like, okay, thank you so much. Because like there'll be moments where I just couldn't do it like for an entire night, and then I very much relied on the guys to help carry me along the way if possible.
Dude, they were, that's huge, having the backing vocals for sure.
Yeah.
You guys are big on stage performance too, as far as like the presence on stage. That's one thing I always noticed. Like, you guys threw down. You weren't just like one of the bands, and this is no shot at anybody. Everybody has their own thing they do, and your own, like you said, your own art, how you want to approach it, whatever. But you guys were more of the, we're going to all throw down pretty hard. Like, lots of headbanging, lots of movement, lots of getting into it, which always translated you guys, from whenever I was there at least, translated you guys having the crowd into it as much. And, everybody be bouncing around and moshing and throwing down, and I always loved it.
I appreciate hearing that. I think that's for us, it was just like, hey, let's just like let it all out in this next like 30, 45 minutes. Like, that's what mattered. You don't know really like when the next one's gonna happen. Like, you really didn't. Like, yes, there's tours and stuff like that, but it's just one of those things that like it just mattered to literally leave it out all on the stage. To the point where like, I mean, we had fun. Unfortunately for venues who probably hated us so much, where it's like, all right, can we stomp a hole through this stage right now? Like, and like be completely just an asshole moment on like, now thinking back, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, being in my 30s now, I'm like, I was a piece of shit. But it's one of those things that like we would have fun with it, and then like, you feed off that energy too. Like, you want the crowd to get going, hopefully for you, and it like just feeds that energy to us. And it's like one of those things where like, definitely would feel the pain the next day in my neck, which I instantly regretted. Sea of headbangs, all that stuff. But it's one of those things where, hey, let's just leave it on the stage as much as we humanly can. Unless we feel like utter shit for being sick or something of that nature, maybe maybe tone it down a notch.
Yeah, I don't know, it may not have been the best mentality to have, because I definitely felt it the next day every time, just about.
Yeah.
But, and it would, being older now, I was no shot. Like, I would be just down and out forever. I feel like if I try to do what I did back then, but my mentality was always, I don't know who's there. I don't know what they're going through. So I'm not going to phone anything in. Like, I'm going to give everything I have up there, whether people are into it or not. I'm going to do my damnedest just to put a good performance. If I'm up here sweating to death, moshing, headbanging, doing whatever, you know, like, you never know. It could impact somebody. You know, every person that was there, I was trying to make a new fan, you know, and trying to like the band. So I just would always go everything I could, you know, sick or not.
Right. I mean, when you've got people who are literally like paying money to see you,
yeah,
like whether it's one person or even 0 people, and you're just performing for like the merch guys in the back or like the bartenders that are like sitting on the side, it's like still have fun with it, like no matter what. Because yeah, to your point, you never know like who's gonna watch and who's gonna really resonate with it, and like it might mean something. And it's one of those things too where it's like one of our favorite things was like after the show is always hanging out and like just talking with people, and like whether it was just like, you know, just like, hey, cool, like good show, or just like deep conversations. It was like your first impression is really on the stage.
Oh, absolutely.
So just make sure it's the right one.
And vocalist, stage presence, and vocals. You gotta learn where the balance is too, because it will get you. It will wind you quick.
It will absolutely wind you quick. I think that was like always. I never was big into cardio or anything of that nature, but it was one of those things where I wish I was back then. It is awesome to see how fit everybody is now. Like, I feel like that like was like a craze that like was kind of around, but like seeing how important it is to just like stay fit, do cardio. Oh my gosh, that pays dividends as a vocalist now that I just did not ever do. And I still don't work out. I still don't go on walks or runs, and I probably should.
All right. So back to the fun questions. We kind of talked about the teas and everything. Did you have routines to kind of get ready for shows? Did you warm up routines, and did they fluctuate whether you're on tour, studio, sick, or just like a one-off show, like coming back for the reunion? Or
nothing really. Like, I'm gonna pull the Andy card here and just say like nothing. Okay. I just did it.
So your machine. Got it.
I tried to until I realized I was exhausting all my resources, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. I need to figure it out. So when it did, then that's when I just would like do like the humming techniques and just make sure I'm like keeping it warm.
Yeah.
And then going from there to like go on stage, and then that's it. Like really nothing special. But I very much paid the price is what I'm saying here when I didn't do anything most of the time.
Okay. What about as far as like vocal care? Other than the tea, the honey, did you do anything else? And vocal rest. I mean, that's pretty much, everyone should know that's probably a given at this point. Like if you lose your voice, just don't talk as hard as it is. Write notes, all that stuff. Yeah.
Write notes. Don't even whisper. Like that is like the thing that I always remember saying, like hearing people say, like, don't even whisper talk. Like just don't.
Apparently
say
it's
anything.
Worse. It's apparently proven to be worse.
Right. And so I was like, okay. So like not talking, all the typical, like, you know, tea and honey stuff. The vocal spray we talked about earlier was like honestly amazing that I like totally forgot about until this interview. And so I'm like, yeah, that worked. Yeah, I mean, just the typical generic stuff really that I know like there's so many more techniques now that are awesome. But for me back then, that's like what I did.
Yeah. And the not talking, some people may be like, oh, that's not hard. But when you're the vocalist, and I'm sure you had to go to the merch table after sets a lot of times, right? And go that, it's kind of hard in a venue where loud music is playing and you're trying to sell merch and talk to people coming up, not to yell and exhaust your voice even more. So it is pretty tricky.
It is. Like, I mean, I have such bad hearing because of everything that we did back in the day. I'm like, I literally can't hear already. So the fact that you're trying to have a conversation with me and I'm doing my best to just hopefully sound loud enough for you to hear. Yeah, it made it a lot worse, unfortunately. But hey.
Did you guys ever use in-ears? Did you ever have in-ears?
We did not until the 2022 show, actually. Like, that was my first time using in-ears, which was like, that was a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's credit to like Tyler and Blake, like knowing the rig, getting it all set up, like with their experience. But that really is a game changer when you have in-ears. So when you don't, it's just like, all right, roll with what you got. Roll with this shitty PA system that's like
hoping the PA is good.
hopefully the PA is good. If not, hey, whatever, it's fine. I think that's actually something that I did learn was like trying not to sound loud enough for you to hear. Like just like trust your gut and go with like what you sound like. Because when you do try to sound loud enough to have you hear you, that's where it goes to shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to like compete with it and everything like that. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know that many of us had in-ears back in the day. I don't think there was really, I don't even think most of the, like the bigger touring bands, unless they were like at a certain level, had in-ears.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the only time we really did have it, quote unquote, was like Trent had it in our later days, our drummer, because
Yeah.
we had samples, we had to have
Yeah.
guitar go through that for him to like listen to, obviously. But like that was the closest we ever got to like having in-ears on the band until we played our last show in 2022.
Man, that would have been so awesome to have them back then. Because I can't tell you how many. I mean, you know how many PAs you're just like, I can hear nothing. Like I hear nothing at all. I don't even know what we sound like.
Exactly. Oh man, it is crazy. Like I remember like being blown away when I was like, because I don't play music at all anymore. Like not like live shows and such. And so whenever we were starting this like reunion back up, and like Tyler had all this gear, and then we would practice together on it. It was just like there's no PA system. It's just like we're all here listening to ourselves. Like it blew my mind.
Technology, man. Everything's come so far. I mean, even recording now, like you can do it all yourself. Before, you mentioned going to the studio and doing things. That's what you had to do. You had to rent studio time and go somewhere. Now you can do pretty much everything at home.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's what behind me, I do that to a degree with some stuff I'm like, jamming on, but it is wild to like see the technology that's available for all that stuff, which is great. Like, I think that's like something I'm really pumped about in this like era is like how accessible it is to make music and just like release it yourself and really do that DIY mentality that like, we've always had growing up.
Yeah, it is weird. This day and age, though, you were talking about streaming was kind of starting to become a thing when you guys were ending. Dude, putting out music now compared to putting out music 10, 12, 15 years ago is crazy.
It is. It's something that like we talked about briefly as a group, like before we played our 2022 show, and we even got back together in like 2020, like during like the height of COVID when like touring was shut down. So we were able to all hang out for the first time in a long while. We were like, man, we literally like, we broke up in 2012 and then like streaming boomed. And it is like insane. Just to think about like, maybe what could have been, sure. But it's one of those things where it's like, just thankful that like, that's even around for anybody to listen to our stuff now who like never would have gotten a chance, like, ever had it not been for like getting a Spotify account or an Apple Music account and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like we get analytics of like all over the world, people streaming. I'm like, it's mind blowing.
Right. Like, I mean, it takes me back to like when you get geeked out when like you see your stats on like pure volume, like back in the day, or like, definitely MySpace. And you're just like, holy cow, like this person over here was listening to our stuff. And so just the fact that it's literally like 100x, way more than that in terms of availability. It really is an awesome thing. I think a lot of people might also think like it could be like saturation, where I'm like, no, dude, music is music, art is art. Like it is really cool to see how accessible it is for everyone to not just listen to, but also just to release.
Yeah.
Like you said, to like just like a home studio setup.
It's crazy, like, because I come from the days of, and I've brought this up before on here, with like handing out flyers and doing all that stuff, like the old school. So seeing like how music is now with the streaming sites and social media, because the only social media we had, you brought up earlier, MySpace, and then Facebook a little later. Like we really didn't have all these sites that you have to distribute content and do these things and to get your reach out there. It's nuts, man. It's a whole different ball game. Like everything is completely changed.
It is. It's funny too, like bringing up like playlist era type of stuff where it's like all about the playlist now and like singles and stuff. And so it's just, it's insane like how accessible it is, but it's awesome. Like I think to your point too, like earlier, how it's like even YouTube makes it super easy to like create content and just like learn how people are doing things. Like the internet can be cool, even though it can be absolute crazy shitty at times. The internet can be cool.
We have to have this discussion with my son all the time. He's like, internet bad. And I'm like, yeah, it can be, but it can also be awesome.
right? It's like, how, but then like, question for you then is like, how do you bring that like type of energy still, like that, like passing the flyers, that DIY moment, that like, it's not like I'm not looking for nostalgia here, but it's like one of those things where it's like, how do you bring that back?
I don't
Like,
know. That's something I love asking the people who've been doing this for a long time. It's like, what do you think about this day and age? And a lot of them are just like, it's a necessary evil now. We're still kind of navigating. But I guess I don't know, because I mean, there's something about that, like you said, DIY, that work, that grind, being out there in person, meeting somebody. Most people may not come to the show, but you may get somebody that comes to the show and they're like, "Hey, I met you on the street. Hey, nice to see you. Come check out your band." Like, it's different now. I don't know. It's a disconnect, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it's weird how like yeah, it's just super strange. Like, yeah, you don't have to sell tickets. Like, I mean, people still do to a degree, like depending on the show, but it's like, yeah, it is wild, like how everything is just on this.
Yeah.
And it is like just a wild time.
All right, so we're gonna shift gears a little bit. Well, actually, no, I don't want to shift gears yet. It's eating at me a lot. So 2022, you released a song. Is there any plans? Is there anything else? Or are we done? Are we over it?
Never over it.
Okay. That gives me hope. I love it.
Yeah,
my only hope.
Only hope, exactly. It's one of those things where like I'll put myself on blast here too. Like, blame me. We've got, the one song that came out, and then there's like other good stuff that like the crew has put together at times. I just like put some lyrics to it if I can. Like, it's one of those things where it's not over. Never is, really. I think it's just one of those things too where like take it as we go. Like, everyone's super busy.
Yeah.
Like we were mentioning earlier, like everyone's doing really cool shit, and it's like, when the time comes, the time comes. Like, for now, is definitely thankful for what we did in 2022, at least, just to like have fun with it. Literally 10 plus years like after our last show, and yeah, I'll just say it is not like a shut book by any means.
Okay. Is there still that desire? Do you still have like that urge to release music and continue it to some form?
I think about that often. It's like not a clear-cut answer. It's just one of those things where, as I think about writing lyrics for it again, it's probably like where it really stems from. It is just hard for me. I don't know why. I think back then it was definitely a lot easier as a kid who was angsty and going through so much and all that stuff. But as I say that, I'm like, dude, as an adult, you're going through like way worse shit right now, probably in the grand scheme of things. Like, so it's just one of those things where also like procrastination gets in the way, being a perfectionist gets in the way. And those are just bad tendencies I do have that end up, just delaying certain things, like releasing another song, for example.
Okay, fair. And you brought up lyrics, and that's a perfect segue, because I would like to know where you pull from for lyrics. Do you go personal, conceptual? Kind of already know a little bit of this based on one of the albums, but or do you mix them, like a mixed bag kind of hybrid thing, or what's your go-to?
I think for me, it's a little bit of both, like personal, conceptual. I think for the first record when we did Revival, and stuff before that, it was very personal stuff. Like, it was just like how I felt about religion, how I felt about the world, like, the climate that I was in and stuff. That was just mostly personal. But then when we did Volition, that was very much a conceptual record with like a blend of our personal stories. That like to this day, like years later, I'm still like so proud of what we did with that record, because it really is a collection of all of our stories in that album. Like, there's moments where like I had a personal story that turned into one song, and then like Taylor, our bassist, had a personal moment in his life that turned into another song. Tyler and Trent, and it just was awesome when you have such a close like group of dudes who like not only are just playing music but really know each other and like are hanging out after the band practices.
Yeah.
Like, you're able to kind of have that natural tendency of knowing like, all right, what works personally here, but then how do you make it a grander story, which made it really fun to do like a record like Volition.
That record I still jam it. We me and you were talking about it. We had a shout out on the, actually it'll be the episode before this, where Tyler talks about it, but man, he brought that up and I was like, God, I love that record still. And so I actually messaged him later and I was like, you've inspired me. I'm back listening to it. Like, and then he shared like that he was listening to a couple of songs he like posted to Spotify. I was like, this is your fault. Like, I went back down the rabbit hole.
I appreciate that personally more than you know. I think it's cool that it still resonates to this day. It's one of those things where, like, especially like now as a dad who has like a 10-year-old daughter, I'm like, hey, you get to listen to this whenever you want to be into this type of music, but like, just know this was like my past life. And I think for a record like Volition too, like, it's so funny. I was actually like with this whole interview, like with like thinking about the questions, I was actually going back and revisiting the album myself, like parts that I don't remember, parts I definitely remember. And I was really proud of like, not just like the lyrical like content that was written on it, but again, like going back to having it mean something to us and not just like telling a story, like just for the sake of like a concept record, which are awesome. Like so many good bands do that. Like love all those bands who just like can tell a great story, even if it's not their own per se. But when you have a record that really means something to us and like we just anchor on, it makes it just like a milestone in our life, my life at least.
I know I told you this off the podcast, but TJ calling me when he was up with Brian Hood. He was helping him while y'all were recording. And just the excitement in his voice, because you know how TJ is, and if anybody that's listening knows how TJ is, when he's stoked on something, it's like infectious, because he's just so into it, and like he is awesome, just like spewing information about it, and just so pumped. But him calling me and being like, bro, as Hell Retreat's up here recording, and he just started deep diving. I don't know if he had like lengthy talks with you guys about what was going on with the record, but he was just like telling the stories of it and just like so excited. He's like, it's mind blowing. And then the first time I heard it, I was just like, wow, this is deep. This is awesome. Like, I was just so impressed.
Well, I'll share this story that I think thinking about TJ, thinking about Brian Hood and like just like the record itself, like recorded in Alabama, like right outside of Huntsville. Couldn't do anything there. Like nothing. It was just like you're in a shed, it's cold. It was like January, February. And we were locked up for a month doing the record. But the story here is that like when we went in the studio, like I didn't really have lyrics ready to go. I really didn't. I was just like, I went in very blind with like, I have an idea of what this record will be, but I did not have lyrics written. And I'll never forget Tyler like reaming my ass for it. Like, come on, dude, you got to do something. I know. Just give me time. So like we had like, Trent laying the drum tracks down, crushed it. Like Tyler laying the guitar tracks down, crushed it. Like Taylor laying down like, bass parts at times, and then like everyone doing their parts, crushing it. And I was like, okay, my time is up. I need to have something fucking written. And so I really, as much as I like hated that like moment of like being trapped in a place that I could not leave for like over a month, and like we would record at night, sleep in the day, and then wake back up at night to record it. Like we were like going stir crazy of losing that sunlight. And I'll never forget though the importance of like really using that studio as like kind of like another band member, where it's like you were just kind of feeding off that energy of like, okay, what can we come up with here together, and like having those deep conversations, with like, folks like TJ, and like we also had like Cody hanging out with us back in the day. Shout out to Cody Bloom. And like, and like all of us just like talking about life. Like, all right, we have an idea of the track record, of how we want this story to tell. And like, we know like which one of us like has like that like moment in our life that we can like say more about. So let's talk about it. So like I would actually go through like an interview process with everybody. Like I would really sit down, and I would really like, we'd go out to go like Waffle House or some shit, and like go get a bite to eat somewhere, and just be like, all right, here's a journal, here's a pen, I'm gonna write some stuff down. Tell me about like, this thing in your life. And I would just like, I treated it like I was like a journalist, honestly. And I will never forget just like how much of a bond that formed between us, and even like friends who are not in the band, but like mean something to the record. I'll never forget, like, you know, I'll shout out to like one of my good friends, David Saunders here, who did a lot of our like, you know, like he did a lot of our like t-shirts and like awesome graphic design work back in the day. Young Heretic was like him. Like that was like his story. Like we all grew up with that, like, you know, mindset obviously of like, what does it mean to probably question everything that you've been taught your entire life? But he's the one I really remember sitting in the back of like a Steak and Shake and being like, it's till 4 a.m. like let's talk it out and like bond, which I think just makes that record mean so much, because again, it's not just like my story, it's like hopefully I'm doing justice by everybody here and telling their story as best as I could with the short time from I purposely put myself on.
Dude, that's amazing. I love that. That's so awesome. It's funny you brought up the journalist, the interview approach to lyrics, because actually Michael from Convictions, when I was asking him about lyrics, you know, personal, conceptual, all that, he said that he, you know, over the years it's kind of evolved how he approaches lyrics, which most lyricists do. You know, you don't usually stay within the same realm. You try to expand in like different ideas, different things, you know. But now he said as of late, he's went to more of an interview process. So he will talk to people about things and get their story and like actually sit down and interview, kind of like you said with a journal, writing, and then tell their story that way and connect and like find things within itself and connect and do it that. Like it's really cool.
It's one of the, like, it's awesome. Like I love, like, it's like one of those things that, I think for me, when it comes down to music, when it comes down to lyrics, it's like, that is like such a bond, like that's such an adhesive bond that, we all grip to when it comes to like, why does a lyric matter to us? Why does this song, why does music matter to us? And so, I think for me, it really, over time, like even like however old the record is now, like 14 years old, like I still remember like those tendencies of like what tricks I did to like really make sure I was actively listening and just like really like be one with like, you know, the story that's being told here. Cause those people are also being vulnerable. Like it's not just like, hey, let's like talk about what happened in your life. It's like you're also opening up possibly moments that they don't want to talk about, but they're willing to, just because, hey, you're close, you're a friend, your family, etc. And it's one of those things where I don't know, just the beauty of lyrics and the beauty of music is how it like opens up the opportunity for everyone to know like, hey, we can all be vulnerable together. I'm sure we have lots of common stories that we hopefully are able to share here in this type of record.
Dude, that record is amazing. It really is. And it's one of the beautiful things about lyrics, about music, about, to me, metal's a lot, but I mean, any genre of music really this applies to, but people can relate whether or not it's actually what you meant when you wrote the lyrics, you know, like you said about David, like his song and stuff like that, or your song or whatever, you know, whatever you meant when you wrote it, someone else can take it a totally different way and it can mean something to them and latch on. And that's one of the beautiful things about that I always loved, is just hearing how people take it and like attach it to their life in some shape or form. And it means this to them.
Yeah, it is awesome. Like, just simply put, I think too, like you really learn to kind of practice the art of sacrifice there, because like once it's out in the open, it's kind of like, yeah, you did it, you wrote it, you recorded it, all that stuff, but it's kind of like, it is no longer yours to keep.
Yeah.
It is out there for anybody to interpret however they see fit. Yeah, you have a meaning to it, but to your point, like it's awesome when somebody else can find something that clicks with them that you didn't even have a thought about having it click that way.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it all.
So I have to ask, because TJ, I'm trying to remember everything he told me, because he was just spitting things left and right. Brian Hood's sister sang on the track before Only Hope, correct?
Tyler Riley's sister.
So TJ lied. All right, TJ, that's it.
TJ,
you're fired, TJ. Because I'm pretty sure he said it was Brian's sister. Does like the little like the angel in the back that's kind of like singing, correct?
No, that was Tyler's sister.
Okay, so Tyler's sister. I'm messaging him later and telling him he's a liar.
He is a liar.
And I'm trying to. He said he brought up. I guess he never said that it was everybody's stuff. He always said that a lot of it was off of Taylor's story. Like no, the like a lot of the songs were Taylor, like based from Taylor.
They were. I mean, it depends. Like, it's one of those things that, I won't go too in the weeds here, just because it's one of those things that it's deeply personal.
Yeah.
But moments that happened during that time frame, were rough for Taylor. Like, to the point of stepping away at times after the record, and all that stuff. But it's a lot of it stemmed from what he experienced in his life that really led to just what the record felt right to do, which is when the world is literally coming down on you, how do you react? What is it that you feel versus what you think versus what you do? All three completely different things. And it really was I'll call it the anchor of why this record feel right to do when it was being put together. Then with the little bit of hey, as a Christian, as anybody with any faith-based background, it's there's that moment that will happen where yo, what is this for? What are we doing here? Especially when there's such obvious hypocrisy and stuff that then turned into all right, how do we possibly blend this into the story as well? And so Taylor definitely was the root of it in terms of what he was going through, which just made it all the more important to make that record while we were also together in the studio, just because it was just a time. I mean, we're all young too. We're in our 19, 20s and stuff like that. Hopefully we did right by it. We're still tight to this day. Me and Taylor are. We still talk every now and then. We literally texted today, which is great. And I think it's one of those things when you have a bonding moment like that record, it really does build that relationship, hopefully forever.
Absolutely. Trying to think what else he told me. Because he just, it was all kinds of things. He was constantly, I wish you could have heard the amount of excitement and how pumped he was. And now I get to tell him he was wrong. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that moment. It's going to be beautiful. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say too, just thinking about not only just Taylor's story, but it's even thinking as we get older now too, it's just the crutch of it is death, obviously. And it's when that happens, how do we respond? And it's even to this day, when we all experience it in our own ways, with close friends, close family, it is honestly wild for us to even think about what we came up with as we were that young, to even still resonate in our 30s, which is I think for me, that's obviously not the intention of writing lyrics. Hopefully this is timeless. Hopefully this is something that will mean something down the line. You just do it because that is what you felt in that moment.
Yeah.
Whether it was you, whether it was a friend, whether it was a family member. And so it's just cool to reflect on that during this conversation.
And that's kind of like you said, being timeless. Part of one of the advice people sometimes will give is don't date yourself. Things that happen right now or this moment, don't date it because like you said, timeless, that record still resonates 15 years later, and 15 years down the road, I'm sure will still resonate, because you can keep finding different attachments and it means more in different ways as you go along.
Yeah, it really, it's crazy. I was going back and even seeing lyrics of my, just going back and looking at the lyrics again. I was dang. I think what's crazy for me is that as a dad now, who knows if my daughter will ever listen to this end to end. But it's one of those things where it's hey, now you will have a chance to, and maybe it resonates at the time that you might not expect it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's cool as shit to do. Now as a father, it's hey, I wrote about this. I was really angry. Some of it is just coming from a pure state of mind at the same time too. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that way when I think about being a dad now. I'm oh my gosh, my daughter's going to be picking up on this one day and she's probably going to be asking what it means. And then I'm going to be absolutely, we'll open up that door when that question arises.
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's, I have two more questions about that album in particular. I know we've derailed, which I'm so excited that we derailed about that. But the last song, Only Hope.
Mm-hmm.
The character, and hopefully this is not another TJ telling me wrong. The character is in a coma, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the voices, you had several awesome guest spots. The voices are speaking to the character.
Mm-hmm.
How did this come about? How, like, go through the thought process of that song, because it's so genius for a guest spot, because you usually just we all know guest spots, you just put someone in a cool spot on the song, let them do their thing, but you, like, it all ties in so nicely in the story. Like, it's so well thought out. I love it.
I think for me, I wanted it to. I'm the type of person who overanalyzes so much to major fault, but that was one I was like, you know what? I want it to mean something for anybody who comes on this record. So I think for Only Hope, it's one of those things that we were really good friends with in Miss Alliance. I did a couple tours with them, like we're former like label mates. And I just remember having great conversations with Matt, like the vocalist, like when we were together, like kind of that deep introspective conversations that like really went into these lyrics. And I just remember like, okay, he would be a good fit for this role right here, knowing like what we've talked about back in the day. And then you had John, really, who's the bassist of the Gun Show. He wasn't the vocalist of the Gun Show, but he was the bassist of it. But like, just the way his style was, I also was just a major fan of. And I just remember like our conversations too. I'm like, okay, I definitely know like this could feel right for you. But man, when we got Aaron for My Epic, that was like, all right, that
part's chills when he comes in.
If we don't get this, I'm like, I don't want to release this record. It was really like where my head was at. And it's like, I mean, that's the pinnacle moment of the record where it's like, I think for me, I was like, I gotta have somebody who can sing really well, obviously. Like, I want this to like really hear the lyrics and like really just like resonate with somebody. But when it was Aaron, I think it was just like, it meant a lot to us because we were huge My Epic fans. Another, one of those records that really like meant something to us growing up, and going into the studio with that, like, inspiration of like, Yet, I Am Undone, and really to this day, like I'll say it, like My Epic is still the heaviest band I've ever heard live. Like they're just like heavy. So like when you have somebody who knows how to be heavy, but then also be like angelic and melodic like that, I was like, cool, come in here. But the story I'll share here is Aaron literally could not cut his part until the final hours of our time at Brian's. He literally credit to him, he did it great. And he was going, I think there was some like complications that were going on between like emails and files and stuff. But like the day we were leaving the studio, like we had no more money, we had no more time. And we're like, all right, if he doesn't make the cut, then so be it. He literally like submitted it literally like 3 hours before we had to like get out of the studio. And then Brian like worked his magic and we're like, all right, we're done. And then we literally like took the rough copy and like listened to it on the way home.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think what I'll mention here too is like, I know like Only Hope is the question here, and I love like what it did for the record to capstone it. I also want to give a huge credit to Dan on Matriarch. Just knowing again what that song's about, losing a loved one. It was very intentional to have him on that record for that reason. Like he knows what that is. He knows what that feels like all of us do. And it was one of those moments, like even having him come back on stage when we performed in 2022 at the end, like doing that once more. It's like, I at least wanted to make sure any lyric that was being said by somebody meant something to them. Yeah. And credit to anybody who does a kick-ass guest spot because they sound cool. Or it just fits so well with that style of music. Just for us, we wanted to make sure it meant something to that person who was also singing it along.
So the guest spots, did they write the lyrics, or did you already have the lyrics for them, or did you kind of like run down the story?
I ran down the story. I gave lyrics to everybody but Aaron.
Okay.
Aaron did his part. Like,
oh, nice.
Aaron wrote that. I gave him the idea of it. He was really like, bought into it. We were like talking over emails or like text messages. And then that 3 hours left in the studio is when we heard it for the first time. So we're like, hope this is good.
Please don't suck.
Please don't suck. I know it won't, but like, what if it did? And so that was like a very tense moment. But then, man, like just what he came up with on that, like that's all Aaron. Aaron crushed it. I love his lyricism so much. And just still somebody I like listen to this day. Like My Epic is just like one of those bands that just like hits at home for me when it comes to like lyrical content and like the music that they write.
It's I love the contrast in that song. Cause like you said, Matt, from in the midst, it's got like the deep lower end, and then you have like the angelic singing, and then like the mids, and you like it all just balances so well in that song to like really fill it out.
Yeah, it makes it unique to us.
Yes.
And like I get to fortunately say it's my favorite record or my favorite track on the record because like I don't sing on it. And so I'm like sick.
Like the easiest one for you to perform.
Right. What's funny though is like I think we did perform it.
Did you really?
We did at the last show.
Oh wow.
In 2012. So that was really cool to like be able to like play that song. I think it was Mikey Rowe who sang it too on stage with us from Daisy Head back then when like we were like, we need somebody to sing. Would you be interested? And so I could be very well wrong though. I'm like trying to really think back then without looking up YouTube videos, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. So it was fun to play that song knowing, hey, I don't really have to perform. I think that was another moment where I was like guest spotting it with everybody. I'm like, just take the mic from me. I want to sit down and watch it.
That's awesome. Okay, so last question. And pretty much everything has been praising the record. And I feel like it was received pretty well, right? Like for the most part. But there was a little, I guess, cloud over it, if you will, because your label, from my understanding, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but your label was not into it. I guess is a nice way to say it. I don't really know how to word it, but they, they weren't a fan of what you guys were doing.
They were not.
What's the story? I guess is where I'm going with that.
Yeah,
that you can tell.
The story is again, this was gonna be our first Face Down release. Back then, being on Face Down was like everything to us. Like we worked towards this moment. We were on strike first for our first record, knowing that the next record was gonna be on Face Down and like, you know, many records to come after that. And, you know, it was that, I mean, that was our moment of like, that was like our, like, you know, goal was like, dude, we made it to Face Down. Let's get this record out there. This is sick. But kind of going back to what I was saying, we didn't have lyrics written yet for these songs until the moment we were in the studio. So whenever that happened, I was very much in a state of like, you know, questioning faith, really kind of instilling not just like, you know, this is a concept album, but like, hey, this is a personal story that like we've all felt at one point where like, dude, we don't want to believe what we believe anymore. We don't want to be on this world anymore. Like getting really like, you know, just introspective to the point where like, you know, I don't blame Jason, like Jason Dunn, who ran the label, still does, I believe. And he just was like, hey, I don't want this to be a part of our brand. And I was like, well, hey, hear me out. Like, here's what's going on. Like, we've all gone through these moments. We feel like this is the right record for talking about it. Yeah, it was different, like compared to Revival, which was very, you know, just cut and dry personal stories, like about our faith, but more so about like, you know, being one with it and strengthening it. This was like totally different. And I'll just never forget the email back and forth and the conversations over the phones for like hours and like just being like, hear me out. This matters. Like, I don't want to change anything on this because if I do, then it won't mean something like it does now. And he was just like, well, it can't sit well with me. Like, I just don't think it, you know, matters to the message that we want to send on Face Down with like our, you know, our audience and all the other bands that are on the label too. It's funny. I'll like jokingly say this where it's like, shout out to Plea for testing the boundaries.
Because I literally was waiting to ask that because I'm trying to like remember, when did Marriage of Heaven Hell come out? Was that 20?
It was like
10?
20. I think it was 2010.
Okay.
So that kind of was like our, not like our opening door moment, but that was like, come on, like Plea did it. Why not us? And you know what? Again, to Jason's credit, he didn't want that identity for his label. He didn't want like another band doing this for a faith-based label. Even though like our faith was still like, you know, as strong as it was back then, we're like, it is good to talk about this. Like, this is not a unique situation. And I'll never forget too. Do you know who Chad Johnson is from like
Yes.
Tooth and Nail, Solid State?
Mm-hmm.
Like Jason like scheduled a meeting for me and Tyler to meet with Chad Johnson about it. Just so that way we could like talk to Chad. Chad hears us out, has a conversation with us to see if there's anything that can change. And we didn't budge. We're like, look, we're not doing anything different. Like, if we do, this record means nothing to us, because like that is stripping down what, like that's just stripping it down to like a point that's like not our own anymore. And yes, the record labels and music business as a whole will always do that with so much of our stuff, but I was like, don't do it to us. Like, I call it punk rock, call it for what you will, but I was like, we are not gonna budge. And we didn't.
Dude,
We
that's
got
awesome.
dropped. And I think there's a lot of like, what ifs and all that stuff, but to this day I'm still extremely proud for both sides, honestly, to like be as stern as they were in each other's like beliefs, that like, credit where credit is due. Like FaceTime was like, hey, we'll let you release it on somebody else, but not with us. So I was like, hey, I'm grateful for that. We ended up going with Ain't No Grave Records, which was like a sub label off of Century Media, and then the rest is history. But it was definitely such a powerful growth moment as like a 19-year-old who's like, dude, what is going on right now? Like, why is the record label we've been trying to get on for so long acting this way? So be it. Like, we got the record we wanted to get. Would it have done better on FaceTime? Who knows? That's really like the question that's not like worth asking anymore. We definitely did back then. But I'm still extremely proud and thankful for just like us standing our ground, because I mean, that's who we were back then. That's, again, kind of going back to what we talked about, like lyrics matter so much, and helping people connect in a way that you don't imagine, in a way that you hope people imagine connecting with your music about, and thankful for it.
Dude, huge props to you guys for standing firm in something you believe in and not just giving into the machine, if you will. Just like, okay, sure, yeah, we'll give you what you want. Like, no, this is what we're passionate about. Also, that has to be like just a moment to kind of solidify what you did. The fact that they're like, we're not comfortable releasing this, because you're questioning, like, you're kind of going, you weren't, obviously there was no bashing religion, nothing like that, but you're being a human, you're questioning things, all that. And the fact that your message was so strong in there and the lyrics are so powerful, they're like, we can't do it. Like, that's awesome though. That had to kind of feel, I know it wasn't good because that was your dream label, but at the same time you had to be like, wow, we're doing something that even they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, in the moment, we definitely, I'll never forget, like, we had our oh shit moment. Like, did we just do the right thing?
Yeah.
Or did we do the wrong thing? But in the end, like, almost 15 years later, I'm like, absolutely. Like, it in any state of any band, if there's ever a moment where you are being compromised for what you want to talk about by a label or by management or whoever, and they're just trying to do that to you, like, that is just not the environment that you should be in. Like, simply put, like, I think that's the beauty of all this DIY stuff we talked about earlier, where it's like, you don't have that over your head anymore. Like, you really can do whatever you want and release it however you want. And that is awesome. Back then in 2011, you definitely had to have a moment where it mattered to do it to a certain degree, but, so be it. Like, I'm extremely proud, and I would not change anything. Dude, like, on how it went down.
That's so awesome. Labels are so weird now. Labels have always been labels, but it's, back then, there was physical media, which we don't see as much now. I mean, yeah, the vinyls, but like pressed records, all that stuff, like CDs going out and distribution and getting on the different sites. Now with how everything is, you can go DistroKid or wherever and push everywhere. You don't need them as much. I mean, yeah, they still distribute and they get more eyeballs and like can help push it farther, but it's so different now. Like, it's a weird spot for labels, kind of. Like,
it is. Like, I mean, it's like streaming is a crazy thing now. Like, singles are like kind of the draw at the moment. And so I think it's like, when it comes to like lyrics that, like, just in general, like outside of SL Retreats that I enjoy, it's like, if I know a band took such effort to doing a conceptual record, like, I will listen to it end to end. And I think that's actually, like, it's funny, like, this whole Volition record really was inspired by, like, I think there was a period where we were just like obsessed with Defeater, like hardcore band, not at all related to metal, but it was like, dude, holy shit, they got like record after record after record of this like intense concept of like World War II like timelines that like, that resonated with me. I was like, dude, like, what can we do with Volition? It originally was going to be like something after the fact, just to say that on record, like we did plan on doing like more than like this story as like a continuation of like someone else's point of view, what was going on. And
Ooh.
it never occurred. Like, I mean, I'm happy to say it on record where it's like we had like lyrics ready to go for like the dad's point of view, who also lost his wife, not just like the son losing his
I
mom.
mean, there's still time.
I mean, there's still time, sure, but it's one of those things that, you know, I'm at least proud of what this record did. Like,
Yeah.
like it stand, like, you know, it can still stand by itself. And I think like kind of going back to like being really proud about standing our ground and like not changing a damn thing about it. Um, One of the craziest things that like has happened recently to us was like we just like, all right, this record it is what it is. But then like we one day got an email saying like, hey, we actually are pressing your record on vinyl, like just to give you a heads up. So if you guys want a copy, we like just tell us your address. So like now I have it there.
That's
I think
so
it's blurry.
sick.
But just like, I mean, that's like to me like a reminder of like obviously the great work every single person in the band did that like I love very dearly to this day. But like that's just a reminder of like do not like sacrifice your integrity of like your art. Like
Yeah.
simply put, like we need your art more than you think. Like just get it out there.
Absolutely. And it's I briefly touch on it, but like it is kind of funny. Like you guys had your record like that, and Plea had their records where they started also questioning. It's just kind of funny how like, and it wasn't just like you two, like the bands. There was more bands like within like the Christian realm and stuff like that that I feel like started going that way after a certain point. Like they started questioning a little more and bringing that element in, and it was interesting to watch like all that evolve and like how that started playing out.
Yeah, it really was interesting because it wasn't like a either or side by any means, but like it definitely like I think when you think about the Rocketown days and like the old like, you know, Tooth and Nail Solid State bands and Face Down bands, it's like I mean, those bands started like that, those labels started like, you know, 90s obviously or like early 2000s, but it was still that Genesis phase, like
Yeah.
of what it means to be a label, what it means to have this like Christian metalcore label like identity. And then we all got older. And then with age comes, you know, that maturity of what we think is right before isn't the same now, et cetera. And so it was really fascinating to see that like shift in the scene, you know, band by band. Like it wasn't like every band was shifting by any means. Like bands still to this day are still true in their faith, which is awesome. Like more power to them. But it was really interesting time to see like this like boom of a period of Christian metalcore or like just Christian music in general to this like, oh, those same band members are not who they used to be when they were younger.
Yeah.
And how did the label react in different ways? I will say like probably lyrically, what really got my brain going to entertain that thought or idea for us, was that Cities Burns Come Now Sleep record. I don't know if you're like familiar with that record. Yeah. It's just one of those things like another turning point where they completely changed their sound and all that stuff too. But man, when that record came out, it invited that like thought of like, okay, I'm not alone in thinking this. Interesting. Like, what do I do with this? And that's what I was like hoping for Volition to a degree, I guess. It's just like, hey, like we get older. Things change, life happens, dark periods very much happen. Super interesting to see how the labels reacted when that was happening, because again, like there's both sides to this, like the artists and the labels who are paying the artists to release their records too.
Yeah, and it has to be tough for them too. Like you have a certain niche crowd you're going to, right? Like, and what you're portraying. So you like, it's a fine line. So I get it from both sides, and it is tough. And it's the fun business side that's not so fun of the music industry.
Right. Shout out to everybody who's still handling it. Like straight up, like it just was not for me anymore in 2012. Whenever like, you know, we were talking about it as a crew, I was just like, man, I'm just beat. Like that moment, I think probably really that moment, even though I was so proud to like stand our ground, it definitely like beat me personally. That I was just like, man, I don't think this is it anymore. Like, let's just move on and go our separate ways, which I mean, I am always open to anytime we, have the dudes around, we want to like play some music together, by all means. But man, I'm like pumped as hell for all the great shit that like Tyler's doing, that Blake is doing, like especially on the road with the crew that they're with.
Yeah, they're crushing it. I know we brought that up. All right, we've spent a lot of time on that, so thank you for sharing. That was awesome. I love the insight. Lyrics, since we've been on lyrics, do you have any tips for songwriters as far as like lyrically, patterns, flow, all that good stuff?
Ooh, patterns and flows. I mean, just really broaden your horizons. Like I think everyone does it. Everyone does a great job of like listening to such different styles, but like don't be afraid to pull in those like different styles that are not metal or hardcore into like, you know, uh doing vocals in a metal hardcore band. I think for me, like coming from a perfectionist and a stickler, like just start writing. Literally, like I kid you not, there's so many moments where I get in my own head about like what lyric sounds right, what lyric feels right, and I don't put pen to paper yet. Just literally start writing, like invite the imperfections of it, because then it'll eventually like come out. And I also just I very much like not necessarily for lyric writing, but also just for like music and like songwriting in general. It's like, you know, come up with those shitty lines, come up with those shitty songs, like make shit art, because it's going to eventually like you'll learn what craft works for you, and then it'll very much like show up in the music that eventually does come out for you.
Nice. So what was your go-to? Did you just like think of lines, you would write them down, like, in a car or wherever, and then just kind of expand on them, just like write down any kind of like idea, like, okay, that's a cool line, and then expand on it? Or did you, like, how did you usually go about writing?
I think it just started from like having an idea, writing it down, and then going back later and then like expanding on it. I typically, it just depends on what was like going through my head. But there's moments where like a line sounded cool, and then I'd like base it off that, and or I just be like, hey, I have a really interesting concept I want to write about, and I would actually like physically write the concept out.
Oh, okay.
And like that to me was a game changer, because I think there's like, so I mean, there's obviously like you can easily like have a concept in your head and then like write lyrics out based on what it is. But for me, like, I mean, I even still do it to this day for things that I'm writing on my like personal side. But just like having the art of writing down what you want to talk about, then kind of starts that flow state of like just start writing lyrics.
Yeah.
And literally like write every day, even if you like don't even feel inspired to write that day, just like give like one line, because like that habit just means so much to you later down the line.
Okay. Nice. I love it. All right. Do you have a lyricist that you look up to or you admire? Is there somebody that stands out?
A lyricist that I look up to or admire. Man, it's interesting because funny enough, I think maybe this for me, I actually like when I listen to music, I don't listen to lyrics first. I just like listen to the song. Like I listen to the melodies, I listen to the music. And so it's funny because I talk about this with my sister, who's like very much like listens to lyrics immediately and stuff like that. I'm like, that is not how my brain registers. Like I listen to the music itself, and then I'm like listening to the lyrics afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are great. Lyrically though, like I think what's funny is that like metal lyrics or like hardcore lyrics, they very much mean something to me, but like I didn't have like a particular artist I like looked up to.
Okay.
For me, I mean, I think really like when it came down to it, the types of records that I was really inspired by were, I mean, Misery Signals is like the one that comes to mind. Like realistically, like them or like Saints Never Surrender, which is like another like melodic hardcore band. Like that style of music I was really attached to, even while like writing for SL Retreats. But low key, probably my favorite lyricist of all time is like, thinking of Thrice, Dustin Kensrew, Jim Atkins from Jimmy Eat World, like
Nice.
even like Block Party, like just something about that band, like I was like really into, and I just like loved everything that they were writing. I think when it comes to the Christian, like, scene and that mindset there, anything Acid East Burns was putting together was like really, inspiring. And then kind of going back to Aaron, like, man, something about Aaron and the way, like from my epic and the way he would write stuff. I'm like, it just was like great storytelling. It like painted the scene of what was going on. It wasn't just like, this is how I feel. Here is what I think about it. It was like, whenever someone like really takes a stroke and like does that, like painting a landscape to
Yeah.
really see the environment, man, that to me just like I gravitate towards that type of stuff. And then I would honestly say too, not necessarily lyrically, but like just the concept idea of like lyrics, Claudia from Coed and Cambria.
Okay, very nice.
I'm a sucker for Coed and Cambria. Always have been, always will be. To this day, like I love just jamming their new record that came out this year. And it's just like those are probably like all the inspirations that like I look up to in terms of lyricism, not just like by lyrics, but just by like the storytelling of it all.
Okay, I love it. I love the variety there. That's very nice. Good job. Good job. Love it. All right, hard questions. Favorite lyric? It can be one of your own, or it can be someone else's. It's a tough one.
Favorite lyric, man.
It's hard.
It's funny because like thinking of lyrics now, I'm in the typical like white male in my 30s like age of like listening to Radiohead all the time now. And so like anything that like I'm like turning on Radiohead wise, I feel like all those lyrics are like meshing well with like my current, life. But I think if I had to pick like one of ours, I think for me it would be I Can Only Hope.
Okay.
Just the way it starts the record and even ends the record for Volition. I think that's probably why I choose that one, because it's not just like a lyric in itself, like it means something to the whole story. Like it's literally like the beginning, it's the end. No matter what we go through, no matter what season we are in life, it's like that is something that we can continue to have because nobody can take that away.
Okay.
I mean, and I think for me, like having that lyric be the lyric that's said at the beginning of Volition, it definitely was like, all right, this is how we're kicking the record off. Like, it's a different vocal, it's a different style of music, and it's just like, boom, this is how the record starts. It's probably why that resonates with me as my favorite lyric that came from one of our records, at least.
Okay, sick. I love it. All right. So we all know when you're writing, and I'm sure you've done this too, you writing stuff in the studio or when you're recording, you don't always think about, hey, I have to do this live, so I need to breathe in parts and not just punch everything and then not breathe, Mm-hmm. So is there a favorite song or part for you to perform live that you always really got excited to do and you're like, oh, I love doing this live? And vice versa, is there a part that you didn't hate, but you were just like, why did I do this to myself? And you would kind of dread, like, this part's rough.
Yeah. Oh, man. There was a part, I believe, in, I think it's Shun. It's our fourth track. It goes like, oh, my God. I'm gonna butcher the shit out of it, but it goes like, it's like just a crazy like Euro blast beat that's happening. It's like dan 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 dan, and it's just like I tried to like match my vocals to like every accent that Trent was hitting on like the drums, and it was just like dan 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 dan, and I like never gave myself breath on the recording. And so trying to do that live, I was like, you are an asshole to yourself. Like you are gonna like hate this part every night. But it was like one of our favorite. It was like one of our favorite parts to play. So it was just like this crazy intense buildup, and then it's just like breakdown that happened at the end. But hated doing that live because it was just like I never knew how to control my breath, and so it was one of those things where it's like I just had to stop screaming and just start talking in the mic, and like say the lyrics in order to do it. And I was like, I know this is a shit performance. I'm sorry. Blame my 19-year-old self who was trying to pull that off in the studio.
And we still do it. I feel like I don't think that'll ever change. So you always push yourself and you're like, oh, I'll just punch it. It's fine. Then you go back and you're like, oh, I didn't think through that. I didn't think about that live.
Right. I think it's one of those things too, where like, I was also like the type of person who I really try to make sure if I did in the studio, I do it live.
Yeah.
I definitely don't try to like do any shortcuts by any means. But that song for Shun at least was definitely one of those like, okay, this sounds cool to do. Let's just try it that way. But then I also like Brian Hood being the type of person he was, total asshole in the best way possible, who like pushed me to do parts. He's like, no, you should do this part this way. Hey, you should do that part that way. And I'm like, are you sure? I was like, I don't know if I can do that live. He's like, doesn't fucking matter. Like
you'll figure it out.
You're going to do it this way. So like credit to him for also like pushing me and my boundaries there.
All right, so that was your favorite and your least favorite at the same time.
Yes, honestly, yeah. That was like favorite and least favorite. But I think if I had to go to more of like a favorite that I enjoyed so much doing live, I think it was probably, man, I would say playing Matriarch was cool. Like Matriarch was like it's a fun song. I mean, it's a sad as shit song, but it's fun to play live. Um, I think really Young Heretic, like
Okay.
kind of having that song be like anytime we like started our set too, that was like always really fun where it was just like doing like a just opening up the set or whatever. And it's like, hey, where's our retreats? We're from Nashville, yeah. And it's just like, doom. And then just like you go straight into it, like, I can only hope. And just like that in itself was like one of my favorite songs I've ever played because of like that whole start point and then even like ending it all. It was just a lot of fun.
Okay, so this next one's fun. It's a goofy one. We're getting to the goofy, weird questions. This
Sick.
question, full disclaimer, is inspired by Adam D of Killswitch, and yeah, so automatically I have to give a disclaimer because then everyone knows what to expect when you say
Yes.
Adam D and Kyle Medina from Body Snatcher.
Okay.
So, do you have a favorite call out, like mosh call or anything? And the reason I ask this because we have you have the typical ones, which there is no shame either way. Like whatever you like to do, it is cool. For everybody out there, it's whatever you feel comfortable doing. There's the normal ones, and then there's the Adam D's, Kyle Medina's that just pull something out of left field that no one expects, and then a breakdown happens, and you're just like, "What was just said? What just happened?"
Right. Oh man, I never was a funny person. I'm still not funny at all to this day. Like I just don't have that like quip or humor in me, but Tyler did. And just like, so the fact, and like Blake like falls in that category, just like they say the craziest shit on the stage that like half the time I don't even know what they're saying. I just know the way they delivered it was like just funny in itself. I mean, I don't have a personal favorite mosh call other than just like, I don't know.
Did they ever have one?
Oh man, I'm like really trying to think about it. It's blanking on me right now, but like if Tyler's watching this, like I'm sure he'll be like, yes, I did this every night on tour. How could you forget? And I'll be like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Have you seen, so Kyle, they've been doing now, so he it's random. Like the stuff he says is just out there. A couple of them have went viral of just like, he's said all kinds of crazy things about like, there's no guac at Chipotle, things like that, and just stuff that makes people mad. Well, now they've done a thing where they're going out into like outside before the show and they're asking for a mosh call, and they're getting stuff that's like, what's a mosh call? Or I don't know. And so they'll change it and they'll show them live, and like it'll be a pause and he'll be like, what's a mosh call? And then they'll just the breakdown hit. It's hilarious. Beautiful, and it's hilarious because he's dying every time he says it, and then they just throw down their stupid heavy.
Right. Oh my gosh. It reminds me of KublaCon too, just like the wacky shit.
He's another one that just crushes it with that. It's hilarious, but it works.
It does. Like, I mean, that's just like, let loose, have fun. This is not serious. Like, just like have the best time with it.
It's part of the performance, if you will, because we're performers up there. You're giving a show.
Right. Yeah. It's in the end, I was like not one to be creative with it. Like, I'm sure like I said something stupid at one point and I blacked out and I don't remember it. But it was always Tyler. Like I would just during certain parts, I'd like look at him and I'm like waiting for it. And then he'll say something. And I'm just like, I can't even do vocals for the rest of the song.
I'm sure he's still doing it with Gideon now.
Oh, 100% still doing it.
Okay. So this next one is sports inspired. And I know you're a sports fan. Go Vols, by the way. I'm pretty sure you're a Vols fan.
I am. Go Vols.
There we go. All right. We have to shout that out on the podcast because, I have an orange microphone. Come on.
Oh, come on. Big Vols fan, also a big Buffalo Bills fan.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Nice. It's that time of year too, man. It's happy time, fall, we got football starting back. Our weekends are dictated by how the games go.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry to my family.
Oh yeah, same. My son's he's like, why is daddy yelling at the TV? His wife's like, it's that time of the year. Just you'll get used to it.
You'll join along later.
Okay, so as you know, a lot of athletes are superstitious in a way. They'll have to wear like certain sock, or they do something before the game, and it's just they have to do it every game, ritual stuff, right? Did you ever have anything like that or similar for like a pre-show or studio ritual? And while you think about it, we've had everything from, the simple like, hey, the band fist bumps before we go out, or we can't say have a good show until we leave the city because it will curse the show we're at now, or drinking a certain Gatorade going into the studio. Like there's been everything from that to, hey, I have to wear shoes. I have my show shoes and socks or show gear. Everybody has like the show gear, the shirts and stuff they wear. So it can be anything like that. It's kind of a broad spectrum.
Man, I'm like trying to go back 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, and like what we did. I mean, the generic stuff, like wear the same shirt, wear the same flannel, like even if you sweated your ass off, don't wash it. Just like that's probably the ritual. Is like we never washed our stuff, which was a horrible idea. Like we would obviously do laundry on the road whenever we could, but it's like we never washed our shirts or anything of that nature that we performed in, or at least I didn't. And it was terrible. It was like awful smell as always. Like that I probably would say is our typical tradition. We definitely would have our chants at times that like we would say like before a show. I'm like blanking on what they are though, to be honest. So I'm not going to be fun there, unfortunately. But I think for us, we very much like we definitely did some stuff together that was like more of like, all right, before we play, like started off here like around trend stuff, but then wear the same gear. That was my personal trait. I was like, I'm superstitious like that, like don't change the shirt, like on a certain tour, like pick this shirt to wear, that's it, and then like don't ever wash it until the tour is over. Which was an awful mistake, but hey, here we are.
We all know that the shows would have been fine and they would have been great, but it's something in our brain. It's just like that extra little comfort. You're like, oh yeah, I'm wearing this, or I did this beforehand. We're good. We're golden now.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It's fine.
Everything will be okay. No issues, no tech issues tonight. Everything's gonna work perfect.
It'll be okay. What's like the craziest story you've heard though so far in that answer?
The Gatorade's pretty wild, just because like it was a specific Gatorade. It was light blue Gatorade in the studio.
Okay.
I mean, I was like, that's awesome. Like, I love it because it's a lot of like show clothes and like fist bumps. Nothing real crazy. Michael has show socks from Convictions. He actually showed them. He like pulled them out. He's like, I'll wear these like all the time. It was like some crazy socks. I love the don't talk about the show or have a good show until we leave. Like specifically, like they have to be in the van out, like leaving or the tour bus, whatever. And they're like, now we can say that was a good show, but we can't say it before because something will go wrong.
Right. That is, I get that. And also I'm like, that is wild to say at the same time because I just would feel like that doesn't go through my head in terms of like that type of superstitious, but I mean, I get it at the same time. Like don't jinx it. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. Do you have a favorite show that you guys played that stands out as like one of your all-time favorites?
Ooh, favorite show. I mean, there's so many good ones that I think, thinking about our last show ever, that just meant something to us. Cause like, we got to play all the Volition songs. I think that was our first time really being able to play all of our Volition songs. Cause like, we don't know when we're going to do this again.
Yeah.
So like that meant a lot to us. I think for, it's funny that you asked that question. Cause I think if I really had to choose our favorite show, like SL Retreats means everything to us. It was such a fun time, but man, when we did our Linkin Park cover set, like 1 year later after we broke up and we just played only Linkin Park songs.
That's so sick.
I was like, I mean, that was a dream come true for me. Like that is like truly like, that was why I'm into heavy music was Linkin Park. And so the fact that we all were just like geeking out about it and like made it work, that is like probably low key my favorite, one of my top 3 favorite shows that we ever played was like just playing like not even our songs, just getting together as like friends and playing Linkin Park again. But I think the last show meant a lot. And just like, I mean, just credit to Nashville. Like Nashville is just like that amazing of a scene still to this day for all of its bands. That there's just something there. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just, we all care. We all really ensure that like we're doing this all for the right reasons. And that's just like looking out for each other, giving us a space. Thankful for places like, Rocketown, even the Muse, the Anchor, all that stuff. Like even like the surrounding areas of Tennessee, like that, just like we were thankful for. And because like whenever we like would go out anywhere else, it was like always like a good time. But man, like whenever you get to come home and do a show at home, there's just nothing like it. And so being able to spend it like, you know, one last time for a while in 2012 meant so much to us.
Okay. What about favorite bands to tour with? Who were some of your favorite bands to go on tour with?
Favorite bands to tour with? I gotta give a shout out to Gideon. I think we toured with them like way too much to like.
I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like I remember a picture of you guys. I don't remember what tour it was. You guys were at like Niagara Falls or something. There was like a bunch of you like group shot. I don't know if that was one of the later tours, but I remember seeing it. I was like, these dudes are out there getting it still. Like,
that was one of the later tours, and that was awesome too, because like Buffalo Bills fan, like my mom's side of the family was like in upstate New York, like Western New York, and so we got to like legit crash with my grandparents for like 5 days because tours, like shows, were just falling through for us. We're like, well, we're stuck here. Why don't we just go to Niagara Falls for a day, go stay at my grandparents' house for a couple of days after? And so like having that bond with the Gideon guys meant a lot. So Gideon just are like right off the bat are like some of their favorite dudes to tour with. Loved towards the end of our time together. Era was a sick band to tour with, like right when they were like, you know, coming up too. Loved those guys, still love those guys. Man, I think Plea, they're just insane.
Yeah.
Like they're just insane dudes. Like love that we ended our tour together, quitting our band to get jobs or whatever. But man, those guys were wild. But when it came down to it, and I think just a huge shout out to a band that like we really grew up with. They're called The Burial.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember
like
The Burial.
Like those were our brothers, like straight up. Like I think when it came down to it, like before any labels were looking at us, like we were like, dude, we're metal, we're into this thing. Like let's just like go tour. So like loved every bit of moment we had together with them. It was just like always constant laughing, constant hangouts, living on $2 a day type of shit that like I will forever be grateful to those guys, and just like being the type of people they are, and like still to this day, like finding ways to connect if possible. So Gideon, Arrow was great. Plea dudes are insane. But like The Burial, if I'm like doing a deep cut here, like The Burial is like probably just one of those OGs that like we'll always be forever thankful for, because like that was our first tour, was with The Burial, and it's like, hey, let's do it again next summer, and we did.
Dude, I remember The Burial, man. That was a good band. While we're on subject of tour, what kind of advice can you give for bands trying to go out on the road or wanting to start touring?
Ooh, advice for tours. Man, I mean, I can say the typical stuff like make sure you save a lot of money, make sure you're able to take care of yourself or like have a second job, whatever. But I think for me, if I'm like thinking about the mentality of it, like make sure you're with people you enjoy being with.
Yes.
I think you learn very early, environment is everything.
Yeah.
And when somebody is just not necessarily just like sitting well with like the experience of tour, sometimes tour is just not for everybody, and that's okay too. Like just make sure they know like, hey, this is good, we're fine, like it's all okay. But just make sure you're with people who really want to do it and who are willing to like be okay with like going through the shit. Like it makes it a lot easier. Like I'll never forget the days we slept on like random dirt floors in like a shed in someone's like backyard, and knowing that like, all right, we can laugh about this later on and not like be pissed off about it. To the point where like, you know, you're literally like stuck in a van for like 10 hours a day, essentially. Just make sure you are with people you really love and care for. Otherwise it's going to feel drag.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah. You're in very close quarters for long periods, and it's really rough. Touring is rough. It's not all glamorous that, you know, a lot of people think of. So it's always good to give the advice.
Yeah, I think too, like what I learned really quickly too is that everyone capacity is different.
Yeah.
And so like it took me too long to realize that, unfortunately, until tour happened. But it's like, you know, how I can handle tour is way different than like how somebody else can handle tour versus that other person handling tour. And so just knowing each other's capacity too along the way is like helpful. So that way you can kind of help each other understand like, oh man, I know you're about to hit that breaking point. Like, because I can see the signs, like call it out with like care and kindness and love and be like, all right, like take a breather here and like go from there.
Absolutely. Great advice. All right. Do you have a fun tour story for us that you can share? Is there anything that stands out?
Man, I'm like really trying to think about it. Again, like I said, I'm so forgetful about this type of stuff. So I'm like gonna just be like not helpful here. I think anything related to like touring with bands and like the things that we would do to each other by way of throwing literal shit at each other within a van. We were barbarians. Like, why the hell did we think this was a good idea? But it's like, just having van wars with people and stuff like that. I will never forget. I actually got deep by this. We were on tour with Plea and
Of course,
Trent.
it'd be Plea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always Plea that like gets in the shit.
Plea was notorious for like the wars, right?
Very notorious to the point where like, I mean, there's stories that I will not share, like just because it's like so bad. But we were on tour with Plea. We were playing a show. I think it was in Evansville, Indiana, and like we had this moment where like Trent, our drummer, was like really pissed off about something, and like he was just like, "That's it, I'm done. Like I'm calling it quits early." And he like literally like packed up all of our stuff like by himself and just like drove off with the van and trailer. And we were like, dude, where are you going right now? And like we tried calling him, he didn't answer, and like he just was gone. We're like, dude, we're literally like left stranded here. Like, what the hell's happening? And then he like came back around and he was just like, psych, I got you. I was like, this is a terrible joke. Don't ever do that again. Like, that is awful. I'm trying to think, like, I mean, honestly, like there's just so many that happen that like I'm really bad at like remembering it all just because it was like so long ago.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, everyone's got their crazy stories. I think if you did not throw like piss bottles at each other, you probably did not go on tour. Like that was just unfortunately like the weird like rite of passage that all of us did was just like throw stupid shit at each other like that. And then like,
and if you don't know what a piss bottle is, then you got a lot to learn before tour.
Exactly. So nothing too wild, unfortunately, right now to share. But I think it's one of those things where something always crazy happened. We did almost get shot in Tampa once. That was wild. I'm like now like thinking about it, I'm like trying to like sell us drugs or something. Like, dude, we're like literally like, no, we're not doing it, sorry. And then like we all like just gun pointed out and stuff like that, and like weird shit has happened as I'm thinking about it now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a ton.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I've taken enough of your time, so I have two things left for you. The first thing, what I like to do is just kind of give you the floor and plug anything that you want to plug. And I know there's not a lot going on right now, so I mean, if it's just go listen to Volition and the As Hell Retreats discography, then that's fine. Whatever you want to plug, if it's something you have going on personally you want to share, whatever, the floor is yours for that.
Yeah, so really nothing going on in my life in terms of like projects outside of As Hell Retreats. So this is just a friendly plug of for those who have listened to us before and continue to listen to us, really means a lot more than you know. It blows my mind to this day that this record is doing something for somebody. And if you've never heard of us, check us out. Metalcore for fans of metalcore music. Hopefully you like it. It's definitely something that was just a great time for us. And then we also have like, I keep forgetting we have a single that came out in 2022. That's probably our latest song. So yeah, check us out if you've never heard of us. But if you keep listening to us, really do appreciate it more than you know.
And I'll have the link down below to check out Spotify and all that good stuff. So you guys can definitely check it out. Please go listen, read the lyrics. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. The last thing what I like to do is just kind of, again, give you the floor and let you talk to, maybe there's an aspiring vocalist, somebody that wants to pick up the mic, you know, get into vocals, or maybe there's someone that's been doing this for a little bit and they're kind of like in a rut, you know, like trying to get through it, or even someone's been doing it a while. Maybe you can say something to help them just elevate a little more. So if you will, just kind of, what kind of words of wisdom do you have for the vocalists out there?
Definitely take care of yourself and learn how your body reacts. Lots of great resources, like we were talking about earlier, how you can find out what works, what doesn't work for you. But every single person is different in how they do it. So just be mindful of that. I think for me, when it comes to lyrics, when it comes to just like performing in itself, just have fun, let loose. Like in the end, like this is an outlet that is so abnormal still to like the rest of the world that, like, yes, it's a lot more accessible, which is awesome. But it is still crazy. And it is still like, you know, something that I very much cherish having in my life. And just like, you know, when you've got that pent up energy, find a way to use it in this type of way. You'll thank yourself later for it.
There you go. Love it. Beautifully said. Jackson, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me. It's been a blast. Went down memory lane, and dude, it's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate it, Chad. Hope you have a great rest of the night, man.
Thank you. You too. And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you all so much for watching or listening to this episode of Behind the Vocals featuring Jackson Greene of As Hell Retreats. Please be sure to check out the link down below to go listen to As Hell Retreats' previous albums, as well as their single from 2022, Descent. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll catch you guys and gals on the next one.